Welcome to Fraser Island, or its traditional name, Kogari. Australia's, if not the world's largest sand island. 123 kilometers long, 22 kilometers wide. It is a big island, guys, so it's going to be a bit of a tough video to cover everything in, but hopefully I'll get you started enough to know what's going on, and maybe you can take a visit over here as well. I'm actually over here with a big group of people for a friend's birthday. We're staying in a house, so I thought I'd nip down early and maybe whip this video up for you guys. After all, I've been here about 10 times now, but even there's plenty I haven't even seen on this island yet, so I can't tell you everything. I don't have footage for everything. Let's get stuck into it. Let's start with the obvious, how to get to Fraser Island. There's actually 3 major ways you can get here, obviously by boat, by ferry with your vehicle on it, or by aeroplane. That's correct. Air Fraser run flights here. There's actually like 5 or 6 runways on the island. You can fly and land most places on that eastern side of the island. Yeah, a couple of years ago, we were actually lucky enough to get the flights with Air Fraser over to the island. We got the full package, so you get a flight over, they chuck you the keys to a hire car. Maybe something to look into if you're time poor. It's definitely a cool way to see the island. Alternatively, me and the boys came over, we hired boats from Hervey Bay and scooted over and camped at Wathumba Creek. I think that's on sort of the western side of the island. Absolutely incredible. Like, highly recommend doing that if you know how to sort of wield a big vessel. But for the basis of this video and the way most people will get over here will be by the ferry or barges with a vehicle on it, or you can walk on as well, obviously. There's 2 major barges or ferries that come to the island. We'll start with the Inskip Point barge. Sort of buy a ticket and just turn up, line up and jump on. That barge is running from about 6 AM to 5 PM daily, 7 days a week. And for a vehicle, it's $110 return, $10 per person. If you've got a trailer on, it's about $170 return. And it takes you right from Inskip Point just across, I think it's about 10-15 minute ride straight over to the island. And I think even if it's very high tide, there is an inland bypass track not far from where it lands. So high tides are actually pretty extreme at the moment because we've had storms. So I'm pretty sure it is possible to buy tickets for this barge online. You can get them on the barge on the upper deck, but I normally find it easiest just to go to the service station in town and grab them there while you're fueling up for the island, because that's the last normal service station you'll get before it's expensive over here. You can even grab a vehicle permit there. I normally do that online on the Queensland parks, but yeah, you'll need your barge tickets, vehicle permit and camping permits if you're going to camp. They're online on the Queensland Parks website. I think the vehicle permit was actually starting at monthly, about 54 bucks I think from memory. So here's a bit of a trick. At the moment, everything's really hard and easy to drive on, but you know, Inskip Point, for some reason, has become famous for people getting bogged there. So after you're at the service station, you'll go to the point, let your tyres down before you hit the sand to go on the barge. You're gonna want 20 PSI as a general recommendation. But like I always say, just get them halfway flat and you should be okay. Definitely going to need to let your tyres down, guys. You're trying to chase that track length of your tyre. If you don't understand why you're doing it, you're trying to increase the length like a sort of army tank or like an excavator. That's what you're trying to do when you let your tyres down. Oh wow, look guys, sun's coming out. Whew, early bird gets the worm. Now Inskip's not the only barge, there's the one that comes across to Kingfisher Resort from Hervey Bay. It is a bit of a longer trip. You got to book online or ring up obviously. Sort of get there 20 minutes, half hour early. Similar to Moreton barge, that one. So that one takes you directly across to the resort. The resort is actually covered in bitumen roads, so you can leave it in 2-wheel drive till you're sort of exiting the resort grounds. Where to stay on the islands? To be honest, there's too many to list. Obviously there's plenty of ways to stay on this island, so try and do a quick run through. Heaps of ways you can stay over here. Currently we're in an Airbnb. We're staying in a house just past Waddy's Point here. It's pretty cool way if you want to be comfortable on the island, but you know, it's in a pretty good spot to sort of get out and see things each day. That's one way to do it, and it's quite nice, I must say. There's also houses you can hire around Kingfisher Resort. We did that one year for Christmas. Absolutely incredible, because that side is very calm. It's nice. It's amazing over that side. Obviously there's the big resort, you can stay there. Then around the island, camping. I counted on the Queensland Parks website about 35 different campsites that you can book. There may be even more, I'm not sure, but let's go with that for now. 35 different spots all around the island. Pick where you are going to spend your time, obviously, and you book in that area. For camping, you're going to want to bring all your own supplies, food, water, maybe spare fuel, but this island does have about 5 service stations on it and a bunch of different shops in each little sort of town settlement area. And each of the towns, I can actually see right now, there's a phone reception tower up there. So around the towns you get your 4G reception. It is quite a large island, so it's a bit more built up than say like Morton Island or something like that. Also, if you're camping, don't forget your mozzie repellent. That is pretty important. You can get some pretty wild march flies, sand flies, or the stingy thingies up here. Mightn't be all that pleasant if you don't remember that. As per usual, you're going to want to book the campsites that are out of the wind, but this island, that's quite difficult to do because it is so big, and if you're booking ahead of time, it's hard to judge weather, but see how you go. Now you might be wondering, where do I camp for what I want to see and sort of thing? How many nights do I need to camp to see this island? Well, I know I've already said it, but this is a this is a very big island. So I've been like nearly 10 times and there's still stuff I haven't actually had the time to go see yet because of tides or weather or the group you're with or a million other reasons. So there's all these major attractions here, like Lake Mackenzie or Eli Creek, stuff like that. Kind of want to pick one per day. That way you're kind of relaxed. There's no rush to get there. It doesn't matter if you get stuck or something like that. You can just enjoy the day. And then you sort of pick your camping and book within that area. Like, try not to get too far away because it is a long drive end to end. You basically can't go do something and then drive to the other end of the island in one day unless you get really lucky with tides and you bloody zooming. For example, if you're camping right past Ngala and you've got to catch the in-skip barge that afternoon, you're going to want to leave very early or budget 2 days to get there, you know. What kind of vehicle do you need to bring to this island? You definitely need a four-wheel drive, not an all-wheel drive. There is a difference, guys, so keep that in mind. And to be honest, most of it's pretty basic. And for example, right now it's been raining its head off for weeks. It is rock hard sand. It's a piece of cake at the moment to drive over here. A lot of it we've just been in two-wheel drive on the hard beaches to try and save a bit of fuel and just cruise down the beach. It is literally easy peasy at the moment. And I even noticed a lot of the inland tracks have been graded. It is a world of difference compared to last time I was here. If it's peak season, it's hot, hasn't rained for ages, the sand gets super dusty and soft and boggy, and the inland tracks or where people crisscross can get cut up, and I mean, you're going to want a proper four-wheel drive to tackle that stuff. So if you're new to the whole four-wheel driving thing, or you've just bought one and you're not entirely sure, that's totally cool, guys. Like, that's where everyone has that point in their lives. Just familiarize yourself with your different four-wheel drive settings, how your particular vehicle goes in and out of four-wheel drive, high, low, and if you've got diff lockers, research how they work. A lot of them, like I know the Hilux, you have to be in low range for that rear locker to work. Get familiar with your vehicle. You don't have to go do some crazy course, just read a manual, watch a YouTube video. It will make your trip over here a lot more pleasurable if you're not worried about how to use your own vehicle. Alrighty, shops on the island. And there is 5 service stations. I was actually surprised to read that myself. But let's go through a list of them now so you can keep this in mind. There's Eurong, Happy Valley, Cathedrals, Orchard Beach, where we're staying at the moment, and Kingfisher. Near a resort, there's another one there. Obviously they all have shops as well. Normally they'll have supplies like water and firewood and normal service station stuff. So just remember, we're on an island. It is a lot more expensive than if you're on the mainland, for good reason. It's hard to get this stuff here. So fuel is going to definitely burn a hole in your pocket if you're going to be filling up over here a lot. So maybe if you know you're going to be here more than a week, bring a 20-litre jerry or something, and that'll help you a little bit. So let's get into must-do things on the island, or things to see, because there is a lot here. As I said before, I haven't even seen it all. Obviously it's going to be a bit hard for me to tell you everything in this video, but I'll do the majors, the ones that Fraser Island's probably most famous for. We'll start with Eli Creek. It's a pretty popular one. It's the one you have your blow-up inflatables float down the river through the rainforest, little boardwalk. Definitely a must-do in my experience. We did just go there with Jamin and he reckoned it was crap. But it was raining sideways, windy, cold, and the creek had hardly any water flowing. So, I mean, obviously it is weather dependent, like everything on this entire island, but in my experience it's been pretty bloody good. Where we actually are right now, you have the Champagne Pool. There's a car park on top and you can walk this boardwalk and then you end up down at the Champagne Pools. A pro tip would be to take shade down there. There's no shade and it can get crazy hot and you end up frying to crisp down there. And water, because it's a bit of a hike to get back to the car. My absolute favourite thing on Fraser Island, and what it's probably most famous for online on Google if you search images, is Lake Mackenzie. Little sand inland track through the rainforest of like really old big trees, and you end up at Lake Mackenzie, which is absolutely pristine. I'm pretty sure it's a freshwater lake, like in the centre of the island. Crazy white sand, like Western Australian white sand, like white, blue water. It looks great on film, but seeing it in real life is another thing too. It's incredible. Highly recommend you guys go check that out. It is a must do. Couple of things to remember around Lake Mackenzie though, like it's all well signed, but yeah, no food and drink down on the lake, that sort of thing. Just read all the signs before you go, but trying to keep it pristine. Can also pay to get there a little bit early because all the tour buses head directly there and dump like 30 people at a go, so it can get quite busy. This one's less of a must do, just more of a you will see, is the Mahino Wreck, because it's on the eastern side of the island. You basically have to drive past it. It's not long after Eli Creek. If you're four-wheel drive and you want to get the cool photograph of the car with the wreck behind it, that is the spot. It's quite a large shipwreck actually, and yeah, it's degrading every time I come. It gets a little bit more rusty and worn out, but yeah, it'll be there for a while to come. Then at the very far northern end of the island, we have the Sandy Cape. Much less people up this end of the island because of the infamous Ngala Rocks bypass section, so you have to do the sandhill climb up and over to get through, unless it's extremely low tide and you can go around the rocks at the bottom, but I've never ever fluked that. In my experience, it's actually not been that bad, guys, except for people towing trailers. That there was that one time that Sam's transmission wasn't really playing ball and he was towing, and then yeah, he got bogged. It was a hot, dusty, sandy day that day, so. Oh, this is pretty cool. So I think some of the locals just towed the boats down with the tractors, and they must launch around here somewhere. So yeah, Ngala Rocks. Guys, it's infamous for people getting stuck and bogged, but if you've got just a vehicle and you're not towing, it shouldn't be that difficult. You're gonna want low range, you're gonna want lockers in if you've got them, and tyres as low as possible. Literally as low as possible. If you don't slow down, you just keep that momentum going, you'll be fine. You'll get over easy. Especially at the moment, it's wet. We're going to do it later today. I feel like it's going to be considerably different to last time when we were there. Last time was very hot, hadn't rained for ages, and it was dusty, steep sand. This time, it's been raining. I feel like it's going to be much easier. So once you make it past Ngala Rocks, you end up at the Sandy Cape. And over there, in my experience, you see a lot of turtles and dolphins, stingrays, obviously all the dingoes are hanging around and everything. It's just incredible. Like a lot less people up that end of the island. If you've got time, head up and do a night camping past Ngala and up that end of the island. It's really special. The rainforest trails, they're near Central Station. It's like little hiking trails starting from like small to longer trails, and sort of boardwalks and that. Pretty keen to see that, like to go through the rainforest. And we've also got Lake Wabi, big sandhill that sort of slides down into a lake. I haven't actually been to that either. For all you mad keen fishermen, Fraser Island is the spot. Everywhere I look, there's someone flicking a line. Amazing fishing, and obviously if you bring a boat over, or if you come in a boat, incredible fishing. Now here's a pretty common question. How long do you need on Fraser Island? In my opinion, you need at least 4 days to make it worth the trip here. It is not easy to get to spots like where I am right now, from Brisbane or the Sunshine Coast, something like that. But that won't let you see everything. That will only let you see probably 2 major attractions, so keep that in mind. If you want to see a lot of the island, budget over a week at least. You won't run out of things to do, I promise. You still won't see it all. People come here for much longer than that. If you have been here before, let me know in the comments what you think. It is a pretty hard question to answer. Animals on the island. Obviously the major one, dingoes. They are not dogs, they're wild dogs. You cannot go and approach them, and definitely do not feed them. You actually get fined if you get caught feeding dingoes. Good reasons for this, and you just have to follow the rules, guys. I know a little baby dingo, puppy dingo, if you see it walking around, it's super cute, but you can't go and pat them. If you're camping at night, dingoes will come into your campsite and they will rummage through your rubbish. You've got to keep your rubbish high, and especially at night, actually, if you've got small children, don't let them walk around the beach dunes at night. Not that you would anyway, but there is dingoes everywhere on this island, so be mindful. Other animals we've come across when camping that may rummage through your rubbish is goannas. There's a few goannas getting around, like they're more scared of you, but yeah, don't leave your rubbish out, guys. There's dingoes and goannas are going to make a big mess. So as with most of Australia, there is venomous snakes in there apparently. I haven't actually seen any, but yeah, you probably don't want to go walking through the dunes in bare feet at night, sneaking through. You might run into some snakes. Don't be worried, just be mindful. So obviously Fraser Island is a national park, which means you cannot bring your own pets here, any version of a pet. You cannot bring your own dog to the island. Getting around the island, you can basically, well, you can drive all of the eastern side, and there's a lot of inland tracks. It just is much more slow going inland. I think speed limit on the inland tracks is about 30 kilometers an hour. So you can imagine how long it's going to take on a windy track going through the center of the island at 30 k's an hour. It's going to take you a very long time to get from one end to the other. So probably just as important that you have the tide information on you. You don't want to get caught out. There was a little bypass track you saw me come in just then, but like I was dodging waves just to get to it. The tide is going out at the moment, but if it was coming in, for example, you'd see what I mean. Like you might get stuck in a little spot like this. Fraser has actually got a few emergency services because it's so big. There is a police station on that eastern side near Eurong, I think it was. So obviously with that in mind, guys, all normal road rules apply here. There's speed limits. The maximum speed on the beaches is 80 kilometers an hour, and it is signed. There's also an ambulance station located on the island. That's near Happy Valley. And there is the Rural Fire Brigade. They're actually in a few different spots. I researched this. They're in Eurong, Happy Valley, and Orchard Beach, and Kingfisher Bay. It's kind of important those guys are here to sort of protect the townships, because bushfires have gone pretty wild out here on Fraser Island. And obviously there's the rangers and the wildlife services. They're patrolling the island daily all around it. There's plenty of those guys. If you have any questions, I'm sure they might be able to help you out. I've never seen it, but apparently there's a Fraser Island taxi service. So I guess if you catch a plane over and then you want to get a taxi to the resort, you could do that. But I have no idea. I think you would have to book it online and sort of research how that works. I've never seen it though, so that's interesting. But yeah, at the risk of making this video go forever, I think I've covered the basics for you guys. If there's anything I've missed that you feel is super important, please leave it in the comments below, and if I'm like, damn, I forgot that, I'll pin it at the top. I'm just trying to make these videos to be a little bit informative and help anyone that maybe hasn't ever come before and is wondering how difficult it is. Let me know what other spots you might want this kind of video for, and if it's helped you out. Previously I did the same sort of video for Moreton Island, so I'll link it up here. Check it out, and yeah, have a great holiday, guys. Thanks for watching.